Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namah. Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Namastri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suri Satchit Sukaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharini. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramadhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. See, as you all know, the Bhagavad Gita consists of 18 chapters. इसमें 6 chapters से generally, in so many ways, I think one of the most widely commented and explained text, perhaps in the history of our spiritual traditions. So इसमें क्या है? First it talks about action and then devotion and then finally even jnana, etc. So all the yogas, if one follows Gita, whatever way your predilection, जिस तरह आप चाहते हैं, if you want to become engaged in activity, good, or in contemplation, or in bhakti, or in jnana, if we have recipe for everything. So presently we are doing the chapter on Karma Yoga. It's very important because Jyadatara people are, work oriented. That is our general tendency, and also the way the world is developing. So, see, in the ancient days, the pace of life itself was slow. ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं होता था. There used to be not so much of traveling, not so much of activity, not so much of participation, and people were satisfied with what they could get. अभी तो आप जितना भी बनो उसकी अधिक कैसे बनो. That is the kind of, we are in a mad race for more wealth, more power, more enjoyment, more facilities, more I don't know even what all would come. Probably we may not have not lived to see. But the way the developments are happening, probably they may find some solution. You don't have to take food or anything at all. Just one little tablet would do. Instead of sleep, you just have an injection. That kind, so that you can save more time and earn more money. खाना digest करना बहुत समय लगता है ना. मान लीजिए एक tablet में हो जाए, then you have more time to earn more money to run after. Similarly, 6 घंटा 6 7 8 9 10 घंटा भी सोते हैं कोई समय लगता है. But one injection can take care of your sleep. You have so much time. Again, night also you can work. Anyway, people are also getting burnt out very easily. Burnout हो जाता है. See, by 45, people are finished practically. Beyond that, either they become sick or they have no jobs. And also the industry, you always want fresh people, young people, 20, 22, 23. अभी तो college से, then probably it may start from school itself. School maybe they may have, campus interviews may start happening in school itself. उसी से ले लेंगे. तो अब मैं पढ़ाऊंगा तुमको. I'll become an engineer, I'll make you a doctor, I'll take you a computer specialist. लेकिन you have to give contract. इतना साल मेरा service दोगे ऐसे. What all would come, we don't know. I was very surprised when we are young, maybe in the early just 20s around. And we were attending a class on, I think it was office management or some such subject. No, the person who was doing it was so brilliant. I still remember his name. His name was Chandran. He said, can you tell me which is the biggest competition for telephone in future? Telephone, air traffic ka. Air travel ka biggest challenge kya hai? What can hit air travel most? I'm surprised, what can hit? Then he said, supposing आप टेलीफोन के साथ ऐसा कुछ बना ले ताकि you can see the speaker on the other side, then air travel will get reduced. What a genius, Some 50 years ago, he predicted that the video conferencing kind of thing. Why people go by air? To meet in person, na? That comfort, मैं दूसरी के देखता हूँ, but we can directly see over phone itself. 50 years ago, the man predicted a telephone where you can see the speakers each other. That will be the biggest threat to air industry, he said. Like that, innovation. But with all that, the basic problems of people remain. आप जितने भी अमीर हो, जितना भी you spend millions on cosmetics, millions on gluten-free diet and this and that, still, the basic problems of life, the lack of peace, lack of harmony, lack of satisfaction, all that continue because basically, it's a human being the same. मनुष्य देखो 50 साल में आपका क्या परिवर्तन हुआ? Has the heart has been placed from left to right, ऐसा कुछ हुआ? Remains the same. Stomach is where it was, liver is where it was. आप legs का ऊपर रख के पैर का नीचे रख दिया, ऐसा तो नहीं है. It all remaining same. And also the human tendencies, the way we think, we behave, it all largely they remain the same. So not much has happened that way. So that is why the problems, difficulties, etc. जो पहले था अभी भी है. इसलिए जितने भी अमीर हो वो तो दौड़ते हैं, जैसे कोई कहाँ कोई संत मिले, कहाँ कुछ मिले, कहाँ कुछ हो जाए ताकि आई कैन गेट सम पीस एंड हैप्पीनेस. पीपल आर इन सर्च ऑफ पीस एंड हार्मनी ऑलवेज. सो ऑब्वियसली, सो इन वन सेंस वन में सारे गीता फतेह क्या है, क्या हजार हजार साल पहले लिखा, अभी क्या है? नहीं, अभी भी मोस्ट रिलेवेंट है. Because the ideas they discuss, the solutions they give are valid even today. That's why this is a perennially valid scripture, always valid. अब जब भी फिर 500 साल बाद भी valid ही रहेगा. Because it deals with not with the, you see, आपका computer, air, dress, travel, these, that, these are all only external, ना? This deals completely with the internal world. आपका अंदर का जगत का तो कोई परिवर्तन नहीं है. So it always stays relevant and very, very important and meaningful. So this sloka is very, very beautiful. It says, Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudyasva vigatajvara. It says, now Arjuna is in a great dilemma. How to fight, how to kill people who are so dear and near to me. मेरा आचार्य है, मेरा कुटुंब है, relatives है, all those are there. How do I indulge in this war? So he has been, explaining to me in various ways, and he says, again here he clearly gives him a wonderful direction. He says, all the actions, all that you do, sarvani karmani adhyatma chetasa mahi. So, you sanyasya, you offer all your work to me. Whatever you do, completely give that to me. It's what attitude? With a spiritual attitude. Adhyatma chetasa. See, आपका भगवान का सब कुछ देते हैं. आपको तो ऐसे कोई नहीं, destroyed fruits or fruits got spoiled. All right, you don't do. You give the best of things. That's our tradition. For God, we offer best. Although अभी भी कलकत्ता में दुर्गा पूजा में माँ के लिए 10 रुपया कपड़ा खरीदते हैं, खुद के लिए 10,000 का खरीदते हैं, मे बी. But normally the old tradition was always give the best to God. Then क्योंकि वो तो नहीं लेंगे, प्रसाद के रूप में वापस तो आ ही जाएगा. So they always offer the best to God. So here also he says, how can you offer all actions? मान लीजिए आपका action, it's full of desires, full of vasanas, full of revenge, full of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, all is सब भरे हुए, आप तो भगवान का ऑफर नहीं कर सकते. What can you offer to that? Adhyatma chetasa, with a spiritual attitude. What is that attitude? You see, it should be free from the idea of any desire, vasana, मैं कर रहा हूँ, मेरा है, मेरा लाभ के लिए, मेरा सुविधा के लिए. With all those things, you have to cleanse your actions of all those. Then whatever you do, you can safely say that I have done everything for the sake of the Lord. मेरा कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. I will only do it because I am doing it as an offering to God. You give up your sense of डूयरशिप, सेंस ऑफ एजेंटशिप, क्योंकि कर्म में दो ही चीज जो आपका आसक्ति का कारण बनता है। सी, मैं और मेरा, मी एंड माइंड, मैं कर रहा हूं, मेरा के लिए कर रहा हूं। सो इफ यू कैन अवॉइड दीज थिंग्स, आई एम द कर्ता, आई एम द भोक्ता, आई एम द डूयर, आई एम द एंजॉयर, ये दो चीज से आप दूर रह सके, देन योर वर्क विल ऑफ नो कैपेसिटी टू बाइंड यू। मैं काम करता हूँ, इफ आई से दैट नहीं, इसमें तो मेरा अभी करना ही है, मेरा कर्तव्य है, ऐसा मैं परिसर में आया हूँ, आई एम इन सच अ सिचुएशन, आई हैव टू डू दिस, बट आई विल नॉट बी completely affected if it goes this way or if it goes this way. ऐसा करें, then only we can. Supposing somebody is making arrangements for this class in this hall, वो पूरा सच्चाई से किया, मन से किया, देन ऐसा ही लोड शेडिंग हुआ, पूरा अंधेरा है और कोई अंदर नहीं आ पा रहे, और पूरा एसी वेसी सब फेल हो गया, फैन भी नहीं है, अंदर कैसे बैठेंगे, बैठना संभव नहीं है, इंटरनेट नहीं चल रहा है, माइक नहीं चल रहा है, प्रयास तो किया। सो वी शुड ऑलवेज अंडरस्टैंड वॉट एवर वन माइट डू, there's always an element which can be beyond all that. That is called आपका जो भी है, if you're a devotee, you say that it's God's wish. So even while doing, even while performing, if you take the attitude, नहीं मैं सब कुछ मेरा करना है तो पूरा मन, ऐसे नहीं है भगवान का काम बोल के जैसे वैसे करना, then that will not be God's work. मान लीजिए आप भगवान का आए जैसे कर दो, वो कुछ भी नहीं है, डोंट पे एनी इंटरेस्ट, डोंट पे एनी अटेंशन, एनी वे वी डू इट, नो, दैट विल नॉट बी गॉड्स वर्क. When you say God's work, you see, supposing you have to arrange a flower vase or pushpa patra, पूजा के लिए आपका तैयारी करना है, will you do इधर उधर रख दूंगा? No, every little thing, कहाँ बेलपत्ती, कहाँ फ्लावर्स, कहाँ चंदन रखेंगे, कैसे रखेंगे, कितना नजदीक रखेंगे, माला बना रहे भगवान के लिए, माला गात रहे, देन विथ सो मच अटेंशन, पवित्र भाव से, मेरा मन में ऐसा कोई वासना नहीं रहे, इज इट नॉट? सो work can be, will not be a bondage, will not be capable of binding you in any way, bringing you problems, if you do it with the idea, I have offered everything to God. So again Sri Krishna says, Nimitra matram bhava savisachi. पूर्व में आई हैव ऑलरेडी डन एवरीथिंग. उन्होंने ऐसा दृश्य देखा, भीष्म द्रोण, दे आर ऑल हैंगिंग, दे हैव ऑल बीन फिनिश्ड ऑलरेडी. सी, दिस इज व्हाट्स गोइंग टू हैपन. सिंपली यू बी अ एजेंट, निमित्र बना के करते रहो, द रिजल्ट्स आर ऑलरेडी foregone conclusion. This is what you are going to see right now. I am telling you. So in so many, here also he says, you don't accept any agentship or doership to those actions, but you do with full uh, interest, full utsaha, urja leke karo, but with the idea, all these are all I am doing as an agent of the God, as a servant of the God. उनका ऐसे कोई भाव लेके करो, then that will not bind you. So how it is possible? How it is adhyatma chetas? How it is possible? The Lakshman says, निराशीर निर्ममो भूत्वा. हम जब कोई काम करते हैं, two things are really which constantly create trouble. One, this nirmama, the mamatva कैसे आ जाते हैं? Due to past actions. मैंने ऐसा किया, I had gone there, I did this, I earned this, I made this, I was. So all that past is, the moha comes out of the past actions. Nirmamo bhutva, nirashi nirmam. So this mamatva, mera bhav, this moha, that comes out of past actions. So he says, you don't look to your past actions. So इसलिए आप कोई काम करते समय, अरे पहले जैसे किया ना, ये भी ऐसा करना है, इसी से इतना फल मिला, इतना तारीफ मिला, इतना पैसा मिला, इतना सुविधा मिला. So always, one thing that guides our present actions is what happened in the past. Constantly looking to the past. So he said, don't look at it. Be free from that moha of past actions. So one way you are clear. Similarly, he says, Nirashi Nirmoval. कोई हम लोग क्या करते समय, even if you before you plant a seed, we think this कहते हैं पेड़ पौधा पेड़ इसके फल पूरा हम लोग कल्पना करते रहते. So the asha is the idea of hope. So the hope and our linkage with the past, these are the things that intervene in every work and bind us. मैं करते समय, if I live constantly in the present, मैं कर रहा हूँ अभी मेरा क्या करना है, with all my mind, all my heart, all my everything, I'll put completely without thinking of whatever might have happened in the past or whatever might happen in the future. I'm not going to look at them. I will do it exactly how it is to be done this very moment, living in the present. Then it will not bind you. What happens when you think of the past and do ऐसे कुछ करते बैठते हैं, then that becomes a bondage. And then with some expectation you do, so you do not do it the right way, because once you are colored by the idea of expectation, it will not be a perfect work. So if you remove these two from our actions, the idea of expectation of the future or linkage to the past or the mamatva, mera jo past se aa raha hai, if we are free from all that, then it becomes adhyatma chetasa. It becomes a spiritual attitude. क्यों? मेरा ऐसा जो सामने जो आया, मेरा कर्तव्य है, अभी मेरा करना है, मैं पूरी ढंग से करूंगा. I will put all my energy, all my attention, all my effort, but neither am I going to say that, oh, this will become that, nor I am going to say it will be like that. No, both will not be there. Then it becomes Adhyatma Chesasa. Only that kind of work can be offered to the Lord, because भगवान की देने के लिए आपका, you cannot जैसे चीज दे नहीं सकते हैं. You should always give the best to the God. So whatever I do, if I do with an attitude of spiritual bent of mind, whereby neither am I completely thinking always of the past, nor am I looking to what I'm going to get in the future, then such a work becomes worthy of offering to the Lord. भगवान का देने के लिए लायक हो जाता है. Then you can offer. Then he say, Nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudyasva vigata jvaraha. Finally, he also adds one more, vigata jvara. See, without, the slightest touch of any excitement or hatred or anything, generally, you may not even look at the past, nor maybe looking at the future also. But even in the present, one feels jittery, one feels nervous, one feels restless. No, give up all that. This jvara means all those things are included: excitement, past, then the hatred, liking, nothing. Without any such emotions in you, just concentrate on the job to be done or the duty to be discharged. Then neither you look at the past or the future. Even in the present, don't do with a restless mind or a mind which is feverish with that kind of jvara is actually fever, with kind of a feverish activity. No, do it calmly. Then it becomes a worthy of offering to the Lord, and then it will not produce any attachment. So this is a wonderful a kind of capsule for karma yoga, how one can perform effectively in this world. This one shloka captures it very beautifully. Then next day he says, and not only that, he gives a clear assurance in the next shloka. ये मे मतमिदं नित्यम अनुतिष्ठन्ति मानवाः श्रद्धावन्तो अनसूयन्तो मुच्यन्ते तेपि कर्मभिः. See, those who follow this teaching of mine, ye me mathamidam nityam anutishtanti. They are always, they follow with their minds, anutishtanti manava. What kind of minds? Shraddha, full of faith. And anasuyanto, there is no cavilling or there is no hatred. There's no that kind of questioning unnecessarily. All those things are accepting it with heart full of this thing. Then Devi Karmavihi Muchyante. They are also, freed from the bondage of karma. So why he says, because there's always the one idea, particularly from the Shankara's point of view, from the Shankara Advaita Vedanta point of view, karma is of the nature of bondage. So a lot of those discussions, elaborate things are whether one should do karma or not. Shankara is very emphatic in his Vedanta. So that's why those who interpret Gita according to Advaita, they will give their own interpretation. They will twist it and make it look completely Advaitic. They say that, see, karma brings bondage. So he said, at some point of time, karma has to be completely given up if you want moksha or mukti. Why? Because according to the Advaita Vedanta, the ultimate knowledge or the ultimate truth is oneness, consciousness, Atman or Brahman. और द्वैत की कोई जगह ही नहीं है. बट कर्मा itself means द्वैता. दूसरा नहीं होने में क्या कर्म करेंगे? Karta and karma and karan. This triputi always comes. The moment you start work, the doer, the receiver, and the instrument of work will always be there. So he says, if you want to get the highest kind of knowledge, at some point of time, you have to completely give up karma. But here, Sri Krishna clearly says, even work also will bring you liberation, provided you do it this way. Ye matamidam nityam anutishyanti manava. Shraddha. Shraddha means not just faith. Shraddha means that आस्तिक्य बुद्धि. ऐसा कोई भगवान पर भरोसा. Believing in the supreme truth of the Lord. If you do, how does he reconcile? Here it says, even though you do work, karma bhi tepi muchyate. Even if you do work, you will be freed from the bondage by, normally if you think that karma brings you bondage, but karma's bondage also you will be released if you follow this. Why? Because when that's what is the fear? Why the acharyas, why Shankaracharya were particularly warning all the aspirants that if you do karma, you will be drowned and you will not get knowledge, you will be in bondage only. Why? Because karma always implies me and mine. Mera and mera ke bina karma nahi hota hai. Because you are the karta. But here he says, you surrender everything to me. You be just an instrument. ये सरेंडर के अंदर आपका अहंकार, आपका सब कुछ संपूर्ण रूप से त्याग हो जाए, then even although it has the outer shape of a karma, it is nothing but the highest of knowledge, the highest of bhakti, highest of yoga, because none of those binding features are in such a karma. देखने के लिए मान लीजिए, देखने के रस्सी की तरह, but if it is a burnt rope, it can never bind you. In its shape and size and everything, देखने के लिए रस्सी लगता है, रस्सी, लेकिन जल गया. It's a burnt rope. It can never bind you. So, if one does with all that, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa, if someone can offer completely all their works with all their heart in a complete spirit of surrender to the Lord, neither looking up at the past nor having any aspiration about the future, such a work, although in an outer shape and contour and design and color might look like work, but it is free from all the negative aspects of work, and such a work will not bind. Because you see, even if you say jnana also, there is a process. ज्ञान तो अंत में जो what happens ultimately, what is the ultimate state is called Brahman or Atman. लेकिन इसके भी उन लोग ने बताया, if I am that supreme Atman or Brahman, why do I not realize it every moment? इसके लिए उन लोग भी साधन की बात करते हैं, उनके भी तो माया की बात करते हैं, कैसे उसका आप how can you get over that, all those things are discussed. वहां भी क्या है, we may not do this kind of activity, but there आप तो विचार करने की बात करते हैं. हमेशा ही आप विचार करो, विचार करो, विचार करो, नेति 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 करके जो ब्रह्म नहीं है, जो आत्मा नहीं है, ये विचार करके करके आप अचानक एक दिन उस जगह पे पहुंच. So that vichara also is an activity. It may be a mental activity. It may not be a physical activity like fighting a war or doing a puja or doing a seva or doing something. It may not be, but that's also an activity. आप शारीरिक रूप से आपके कर्मेंद्रिय लगा के आप कुछ नहीं करते हैं, लेकिन आपका ज्ञानेंद्रिय लेके आप करते हैं. So that activity can also bind you. I am such a great, मैं इतना विचार करता हूँ, मेरा कोई बंधन नहीं है, मेरा कोई आसक्ति नहीं है, मैं सिर्फ ब्रह्म चिंता ही करता हूँ. That's also a bondage. So the bondage can come that way also. So after all, if the work is completely cleaned of all its elements of attachment, namely past, namely future expectation, namely that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, ये सब आप कोई कर्म से हटा दें, then that loses all its power of binding. It becomes like a burnt rope, and such a karma can never bind you, rather it will liberate you. क्योंकि दूसरी भी बात है, अब जब तक आपका शरीर है, जब तक मैं जिंदा हूं, मेरा कुछ ना कुछ करना ही है. Even आप सिर्फ, even if you keep sitting somewhere, that's also an action, because you are sitting somewhere, you are sitting quiet, but that's also an action. So nobody जो जन्म लिया, उनका मृत्यु तक कुछ ना कुछ करना ही पड़ेगा. आप सोते रहे, वो भी कर्म है. You may not run around, that is still, but still it is a karma. So when you have to do a karma, why not do something which is of a nature of liberating you rather than binding you? That's why karma yoga is not only a great elixir, a great method of a spiritual sadhana, but it is unavoidable. Because Gita में वही कहते हैं, even if you are a very person of a knowledge, still you cannot completely avoid any action, because in very nature you are made like that. Because हम सबको अंदर, हम सब गुना त्रिगुण के अंदर है. None of us are गुणातीत है. So when we are under the influence of the three gunas, some activity or other will always be taking place, either in a physical form or in a mental form or in intellectual form, any form. इसलिए उसके अंदर आप जो भी करें, even if you do ज्ञान चर्चा, उसमें भी if you do it with ahankara, that I am doing it, I am a great Advaitin, I only do Advaita sadhana, that is also ahankara. That also will bind you. So that's why he says, rather do it in such a way, whatever may be your action, do it in such a way, in such a purified way, so that it loses all its power of binding. Such a work cannot bind you in any way. That's why he says, Ye matamidam nityam anutishtanti manava shraddhavantu anasuyantu muchyante tepi karma. Even that will liberate you from the bondage of karma, because such a karma is like a burnt rope. It cannot bind you in any way, although it has the shape of a rope. Then what is the next sloka? Ye tadabhya shuyanto nanitishtanti mematam. Sarvajnana Vimudam Stan Vidhi Nashtana Chetasa. So some places, Gita, Sri Krishna gives a very strong dose that if you don't follow, this is what will happen. He literally threatens. He says, those who उनका इसके प्रति असूया है, they do not have the respect, there is hatred or something like that. They don't anutishtanti mematam, they do not follow this doctrine of mind, and they discard it, then Sarvajnana Vimudamstan, he is a person, uh, he is a senseless person. सब ज्ञान विमूढ़ आत्मी है, उनका कोई बुद्धि सब खत्म हो गया है. विद्धि नष्टान चेतसा, blind to all wisdom, is taken as completely lost. Because if this great thing, if you don't follow it, this will be the result. You will be in great danger. Anyway, that's to emphasize the idea how important is this doctrine. Maybe Sri Krishna is saying that. Then, in the next sloka, he very beautifully says why it is so important, why work is so important. Sadrisham cheshate swasya prakritir jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha king karshyati. You see, even a wise person, even Prakriter Jnanavanapi, even the person who is a man of knowledge, even Sadisham Cheshte Spasya, even if you tries his utmost, Prakritim Yanti Bhutani Nigraha King Karishyati. If the Prakriti makes you act, behave, what will you do by simply pretending to be not involved in any action? So, he says, If you see in the world also, if you study lives, anything, wherever you look around with the people, known, unknown, everything, everybody is involved in some action or other. Because the whole creation is classified under what is called prakriti or nature. Uske andar wo teen gun hai, satta raja tama. So we are all a combination of the three gunas. So constantly some activity or other keeps on going according to our own nature. सब अपना अपना स्वभाव के अनुसार कुछ ना कुछ करते रहते. Nobody is free even for a minute. So if that is the nature's design, Prakritim yanti bhutani, if that is what the nature is, all Srishti is designed, people are designed. So why do you pretend to be not doing anything? Why are you trying to go against the current unnecessarily? Now, आपका, see, in so many ways, supposing you want to swim, it's always good to swim with the current. So you can take the help of the current and go fast. No, मैं against swimming current करूँगा. करो, but you'll be unnecessarily straining yourself without any result. So he says, rather than trying to resist, because so much of your energy, so much of this thing to be against your nature, there will be constant mental conflict, there will be loss of peace, and so on and so forth. Why do all that? Rather, accept whatever has come to you and go in that direction so that you can proceed fast, because ultimately the ultimate goal of human life is that spiritual redemption or bhukti or moksha or whatever one might call, to be free from any kind of bondage, any kind of attachment, any kind of difficulty, any kind of a limiting aspect of life, to be free from all that. If that is the goal of life, what is the best way? Whether to constantly uh, do like that, or should take the path which is easier. I should remember long ago, in banks, though of course some of you work in banks or know about finance. See, those days are gone now. They used to give two types of loans to borrowers. One is called key loan, another is called open loan. क्या होता है की लोन में? क्या है, की लोन is supposed to be very secured and you will get more money. Suppose you have 100 rupees worth of goods. If it is a key loan, they may give you 80% of the value of the goods. Or if it's an open loan, they may give you less than that. So everybody, all banks should always say, no, we'll give only key loan. Everything is secure. We can keep everything under lock and key. And if they don't pay, we can take back all money, sell it. So one person sent a proposal. It was for a loan against huge items, not small. See, what can you keep in a godown? Some goods which are some size, some machines, whatever it is which you can handle easily, take out, put in. See, when key loan also, what happens? Supposing today he has to draw from the bank, he has to push material inside so that the godown it is stocked. Again, that he takes money. Supposing he wants to sell it, again he takes out the material, and then when he sells, he deposits the money, and then loan amount goes down. So, but it was such a huge item. But the bank was insisting we'll give on key loan came proposing. One brilliant officer said, no, it is useless. Convert it into open loan. Open loan means he himself comes and takes and goes, but margin is more. The amount given as loan is less. But he says, such a huge item, he cannot run away with that. Anytime he can go and see. It's not a small item like, small computers or some things which one can easily handle and run away. What is the fear? Brilliant idea. So rather than resisting, no, we'll only keep shut and do like that. No, rather do it in a way which is. So, that is why he says, when if nature is by design, if you are to work, if you are to participate, do that, do it beautifully. There is a way of participation. That's why he says, Adhyatma Chesasa, with a spiritual attitude you participate, then that participation will not lead to any bondage or ashakti or anything. Rather than resisting, I will not do, I will not do, I will not do. You are spending so much of time. You are constantly thinking about the negative aspects. If I do this, I will get into bondage. If I do this, I will get into ashakti. You are constantly thinking about that rather than just do and forget. You know, Uttarakhand में एक महात्मा सुंदर बोला, see somebody is hating so much another person constantly. He said, देखिए आप उनका इतना आप घृणा करते थे, गांव में आप रहना नहीं देते थे, लेकिन अंत में क्या हुआ, आपको हृदय में आपको लेके बिठाया उनको, because constantly he's thinking of that only. So instead of if you wouldn't allow him when you're in village, but now you have brought him to your very heart, you're constantly thinking of them. What is the idea of this kind of hatred? Similarly, he says, if by very nature, if design in creation, if we are to work, if we are to participate, do it in such a way where there is no fear of attachment, there's no fear of getting into any kind of bondage, and that is the right royal way, rather than trying to very aggressively protest, saying that no, I will not do, I will not do. Not necessary, because there are always infinite paths to reality, and if you only take it that way, it is possible to reach the goal in any way we like, any path. So he says, and what is the point in trying to say that I will not participate or I will not do? Then again, in the next book, I says, Indriyasya Indriyarte Ragat Veshu Vivastu Tayo Navasamagatche Tauhasya Paripanthi. No. You see, what is the nature? The Indriyas, they will run after their objects. आंख हमेशा दौड़ेगा जहां जहां उसका दृश्य मिलता है, कान जहां जहां सुनना संभव, everything, so India, the सूखने के लिए the nose always runs. So all the indriyas will always run after their objects. The objects are meant to attract the indriyas. So paraspar jo akarshan to रहता है. So they get attracted. It's natural for each organ to feel attraction or aversion in respect of the objects pertaining to senses. कुछ दृश्य नहीं देखना चाहते, आंख का aversion हो जाता है. कुछ we don't want to smell, aversion. You don't want to hear, aversion. Similarly, अच्छा thing सुनना चाहते हो, देखना चाहते हो, you want to smell, there is attraction. So this is the very nature. But do not come under the sway. Tayor vasamagache tohasya paripanti. No. See, they are the enemies. They are the things which are coming in your spiritual path. See, finally, how people get really bound, how they get into samsara, how they get into all that. When the attracts the eye, you allow it to function, then you absorb it. Similarly here, similarly other things. So if you give a free play to your senses, they go and participate, and all the samskaras you get, and again you perform all that repeatedly, and you get immersed in this world, and similarly you lose all your spiritual perspective, your goals, everything is gone. You are constantly in a state of samsara. So what is the way? Yes, you have to function, you have to be in this world, you have to participate, but always exercise restraint, always exercise samyam, ताकि आंख देखता है ना, ठीक है, मेरा लायक नहीं है, I will not look at it, I will not participate. Similarly here, similarly other organs, all the senses, भगवान आपका स्वभाव से प्रकृति आपको दिया, is to be used for a particular purpose. The eye is to see the good thing, to see the Lord, उनका पूजा के लिए, उपासना के लिए, ध्यान देखने के लिए उनका दृश्य. Similarly, all the good senses can also be used if they are directed properly, instead of allowing the indriyas to play in their own way completely, deluding you all the time. Then you all fall a trap, and then you are lost completely. So naturally the indriyas will get attracted. इसलिए तो प्रकृति में, सृष्टि में वैसे ही व्यवस्था है. सब कुछ अच्छा बुरा जो कुछ है, everything is to satisfy the senses. But if you become a victim, then you completely go obey only the senses. अब ये पीना है, हाँ पी लूंगा. No, ये जरूरत नहीं है. We will not do it. So if you use restraint, if you use the God given intelligence, आप बुद्धि से आप उसकी रोक लगा दे, then naturally you will not be into great trouble, and that is the way to your spiritual redemption. So he says, see, you cannot wish away the indriyas. Indriyas are there. क्या आपका क्या will you take out, pull out your eyes ऐसा कुछ दिखता है? Or can you cut off your ear or nose? No. They are all there. They are all in the nature of scheme. प्रकृति में जैसे सृष्टि किया सब है. But the real intelligence lies in how we utilize them, how directions we give them, how we direct them on the right path, allow them. Just as why they put blinkers to the horses. Otherwise, they will run here and there. You can never control them. So for them, physically they are putting blinkers. But हम लोग मेंटली कर लेंगे नहीं, ये सब चीज में मैं नहीं जाऊंगा, मैं नहीं देखूंगा, नहीं सुनूंगा. So that is called the life of samyama. That's called the life of restraint. Then only you are fit to advance in the path of spiritual life, and then only you can progress. The result is ultimately you will get peace and happiness. The next is another important verse we'll take up next time. It says, Swadharmo Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharma Svanushita Swadharme Nidanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhaya. How one's own dharma is so important, that we'll take up in the next class. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. See, one couple of announcements we wanted to make.